Hey, what's going on YouTube? Got another knife review video for you today. Today we'll be taking a look at a Benchmade knife. If you like this knife or other knives I'm going to use to compare this knife to, feel free to click on the links below. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into this one. So this was actually a Christmas present from my wife, and I absolutely love this knife. She got it directly from the Benchmade site. She went ahead and did the custom engraving on it, the love you and the bear. So thank you, honey. I love this knife very much, and I'm excited to show it off to you all today. So let's go ahead and start with some size comparisons. We've got it up against the Spyderco Manx 2 lightweight. And this is going to be a pretty good size knife, folks. It's going to compare bigger to a lot of these other knives that I've got here. Let's go ahead and compare it to the Buck Sprint Pro. And yeah, Buck Sprint Pro coming in much smaller. Let's go ahead and go up against the Kershaw Blur. Blur, much smaller. How about up against another Benchmade, the Benchmade Griptilian. And the Griptilian coming in still smaller, shorter, little thicker blade from top to bottom, but we'll talk about that in a second. And let's see, let's go up against the Civivi Imperium. Get it up against a long, slender knife there. Still longer, and yeah, much bigger. So let's go ahead and do one last size comparison. I'm gonna leave that Griptilian out for a second. We'll do against a pretty big knife, the Cold Steel Recon 1. And so you can see the Recon is gonna come in much bigger still. Just tends to do that to every other knife. So, yeah, but again, the Barrage here is still a pretty good size knife. It's not so overwhelmingly big that it's not going to be a good everyday carry knife, but it's not a small gentleman's knife either. So let's go ahead and get these out of the way, and we'll talk more about it here. So let's talk about the blade. So this knife comes in several different variations. The Barrage has been out there for a minute. We've got the Tanto style tip with these serrated edges. I love this design. It is great. You've got extra utility out of it with that pointy tip there. It's great for puncturing things. You got kind of an extra secondary edge there, which I really like. And then the serrated edges there, which is great for cutting through any kind of gritty material, or, you know, something maybe with nylon. It gets you through it really easy. So I really love the design of it. And again, you can get it in a drop point. I think, yeah, it's just those two styles. I don't know if you can get it without the serration. You might be able to get this without the serrated edge there, and just, you know, a Tanto all the way. But yeah, for me, I really like it. I use this knife a lot. I've had it for a year, and I carry it often. It works really well for me. A very reliable knife. All right, now one thing, so let's go ahead and look at the steel on it. It is 154 cm, hopefully you can see that there. And it is not the sharpest knife out of the drawer. It's not dull or anything. I just, you know, that's the one negative thing that I'm gonna say about this knife is when I got it out of the box, I was kind of expecting it to be, you know, super shave your arm hair easily sharp. It wasn't. It still could shave arm hair, just not as good as some other knives that I've gotten out of the box. Definitely reasonable, definitely works great and gets the job done, but yeah, I was just surprised there. I was expecting a little sharper feel to this knife than that. But The 154 cm out there, it gets, it's known as a great steel. It does hold an edge really well, and I will give it that while I didn't think it was the sharpest knife out of the box, it still held an edge really well. What it had out of the box, it maintained for a long time. And again, I've used this knife fairly heavily over a year, and I did send it back to Benchmade to get sharpened. One day I'll have to do a review experience on that. I thought it was great, I'll just say in this video and leave it there, but it didn't come back. It came back sharper than I sent it, of course, but it kind of came back the way I got out of the box. So, it's gonna get the job done for you. But I wanted to stop and kind of take a minute to talk about that a little bit. The rest of the knife is great quality though, and the rest of this review is going to be very positive for this knife. So let's talk about the deployment mechanism here. So this is a spring assist with the dual thumb studs there. It's really easy to open. It rockets out there, bang. The access lock, kind of like any other Benchmade, you pinch that in and you can stow it. It has flawless action. I love the action on this knife. It's my favorite spring assist knife by far. You do have an option to lock it with this little button here, I guess. You press and slide it in, and that'll lock it. And now I can't move the access bar back at all, basically, is what that does. And if you slide it back now, you can depress that and close it. For the purpose of this video, two-handed operation, but this is a very easy one-handed operation knife once you get comfortable with it. When you have it stowed, you can also press down on that and lock it in place. Now you cannot deploy the knife, but I always just leave that alone and carry it, wide open, ready to go. Okay, so and I know not everybody loves a spring assist knife. I tend to be more on the I like them or don't care side of the camp. I know that people have their opinions on that, but for me, I really like it. Okay, let's talk about the ergonomics of this knife. Really good. The scales are, I think, just G10. You got the little carvings there, the slots there. Your index finger feels pretty good there. I do wish there was like maybe some jimping here, maybe jimping on the blade. The spine of it has this jimping-like feel. You got these little dips back here for your ring finger and pinky, so that feels good. I've got a fairly big hand, and as you can see, doesn't totally swallow it up. I've still got plenty of purchase back here. My thumb is comfortable on this knife, so it's comfortable. The ergonomics, I would say, are good. They're not excellent, they're not bad, they're good. I like it. Another thing I like about this knife, not everybody's going to, but I like it, it is closed off in the back here. So it's not a wide open design. I really like that. I just think to me it makes the knife feel more solid. I guess, yeah, harder to clean. Now the liner in it, they skeletonized it. As you can see, I think my camera's picking that up. You got little holes through it, and what that does makes it lighter. This isn't a super light knife in my opinion, so that's great that they did that. It's definitely gonna feel heavier than, say, even the Griptilian. It's heavier than a Griptilian. It's gonna be heavier than like the Kershaw Blur, but again, I think this knife is just kind of slightly on the larger side for everyday carry, but it's still not overwhelmingly large. So I think, for most people, it's going to be comfortable and acceptable. But I think that's cool that they did that. They took that into consideration and did that. skeletonization on the liner there. Okay, you got the lanyard hole back here. And then I know for those of you, I always take all my pocket clips off, but I put it back on for the review video. And you got a pretty big pocket clip for this knife. I suppose that would be comfortable to carry that way if you're into pocket clips. And you can reverse it and put it, or not reverse it, well, yeah, reverse it. You can put it on this other side. You cannot change the orientation and make this knife tip up, or I'm sorry, tip down by putting it up here. It has to be back here on the butt of the knife. So keep that in mind. Okay, so we've talked about the blade, we've talked about the ergonomics, the scales, the axis lock. So I think that pretty well wraps it up and covers everything I wanted to say about this knife on this video. Again, I really like this knife. I use it a lot. Kind of a workhorse for me. So, you know, if you're looking for a knife that is very utilitarian, can take a beating, and still high-end, this is a great knife, great option for that. And like I said, I don't think it's, you know, overwhelmingly bigger than a lot of other knives out there to make it to where it's, you know, too big for everyday carry. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing, I guess. If you're working an office job, this doesn't make sense, but you know, if you're out in the field, this is a great knife for you. So that'll do it. Again, links below in the video description to this knife and others. We will catch you next time.